Our next speaker is Robert Ripp of Massapequa.
Hello, my name is Robert Ripp. I'm from Massapequa, New York. So before we begin, I just
Would
want
you
to
kindly give us your address as is?
77 Sunset Road, Massapequa, New York. I just
Thank
want to
you.
touch on rules of decorum before I start.
Well, it's part of your time. I guess you.
That's okay. That's all right. That's all right. Listen, what I just want to say is that I hope you recognize that you allow 10 minutes, and I have the floor for 10 minutes. The rules of decorum that I shouldn't be interrupted.
Well, when we're going over those rules, it's important to point out that everyone must abide by the rules.
You're running my time.
And also that people's
You're violating the
conduct-
rules right now.
And also that people's conduct, when they're not speaking and they're sitting here, must be respectful of others.
I agree with you.
And I would ask that you please keep that in mind for all board meetings.
You know, I agree with you, and I think that the rules of decorum should be adhered to on all sides here. And in all fairness, I'd ask you to reset the clock now that we've come to a conclusion on that. I mean, it's only a minute, but you did use some of my time. I do have 10 minutes, right? So it's only fair. Right. I appreciate it. It would be only be fair, right?
Are you talking again?
Oh, I'm sorry.
We're also going to be respectful, and we hope that all residents will be respectful.
Listen, what I want to start out with is the cell phone tower thing. I've done as much research as I can, and I noticed, Mr. Saldino, that you constantly have said that the town has sued. But I've yet to find one lawsuit that the town has instigated. It looks like the town has been sued a number of times over taking back permits.
Let's get that question.
Oh, hold on a second. Let me get my 10 minutes and you keep interrupting me.
Well, if you're going to make a claim,
I'm not making a claim on
isn't
this.
it important? Don't you want the public to hear the truth?
Fair. If you'd like for me to finish my statement and then reply, because you're jumping, I didn't even finish what I'm saying and you're already interrupting me. I mean, I really would prefer if I can get my 10 minutes and just speak without being interrupted. I didn't even get done saying what I was saying and you interrupted me already. Okay? What I wanted to say was, to the best of my knowledge, what I've been able to determine is the town has been sued a number of times. One time was by AT&T, specifically because we revoked the special use permits. I've yet to find an incident where the town has sued any of the telecommunication companies. If you could point one out to me, I'd appreciate it. Okay? Getting into resolution 285, right? This is a resolution we spoke about a number of things. This is in the sidewalk deal that you have going on. This resolution, we now want to provide a 2-year contract for $50,000 a year to this company, Schneider Engineering, so they can review the sidewalk work. And last time I was up here, I was able to explain a few things about the sidewalk program, but I learned more, so I'd really like to explain these things to you and to the public, because
It is also important to point out that you came, last time you were here, you came here making claims, and we found out from our experts that they were not the case. So it's important.
I don't know what you're talking about.
So
You're
my
interrupting me.
point is that there has been a pattern of you coming to this board meeting, which you have the right to do, but to provide information that doesn't happen to be true.
I disagree. I disagree. For instance, you just said that the town. I'll give you a good one. You told me that you knew that 25 people were interviewed for Justin McCarthy's job, but you refused to identify who those 25 people are. Okay, so whatever. All right. Listen, in the sidewalk program, back in 2013, the town amended the law. Okay, so that if the town. They included a law that was sidewalk compliance required. And you passed a law so that if the town deemed that your sidewalk had to be repaired and you refused to repair it, that the town could go ahead and repair the sidewalk and then place the cost of the sidewalk repair against the person's property tax. And then later on, at the same time, July 12th, that was the same day that you passed the law that allowed you to go after people for violating your sidewalk code and then place the cost of it against their property tax. The same day you ended the sidewalk repair subsidy program. This is July 12th, okay? You went on to pass another resolution, 599 of 216, that claimed that the purpose of that contract is for the replacement of residential concrete within the town's right-of-way, for which requests have been received prior to the termination of the sidewalk program. Supposedly you terminated the sidewalk program, but then you went and you passed another resolution to continue doing it. Now, we spoke at the last meeting where the town has been sending out threatening letters to sidewalk people. Fix your sidewalk or else. Now I discovered that you've also passed a number of resolutions. This one is
Just so we're
32.
clear, Mr. Ripp, the town doesn't send threatening letters.
I have it right in front of me. I read it last
They're
night.
informative, and that's a position that you are taking.
Okay. So, I can read it again for you, but, all right, so now, here are the resolutions where the town board, you've actually voted to place the sidewalk repair against the residents' property tax. Now, back in March 21st, the town presented this resolution 94 of 217. If you don't know, I was actually in court today on it. The restraining order still stands against the town because the town violated the open meetings law when you passed this resolution. Now, we spoke about this because the day that you proposed this resolution, the only piece of information that was given to the residents is this simple phrase: resolution pertaining to award of construction contract H16-146 concrete replacement throughout the town of Oyster Bay. You listed memorandum document information, but you didn't provide it. I mentioned at the last meeting that I thought it was very strange that this resident, Paul Marinari, was able to come up here and speak in depth about this resolution when nobody knew what it was about and what it was going on. As a matter of fact, the court approved the TRO because they agreed that nobody could know what was happening, but yet Mr. Molinari knew what was happening. Mr. Molinari spoke at the last meeting and he explained what an expert he is and how great he was in school, but he never explained how he knew what was going on prior to this meeting with this. Today we're in court because you passed Resolution 251. All the 251 did was supersede Resolution 94 so that you continue paying Laser the $4 million for this terminated sidewalk repair. What's ironic is I was told by Frank Scalera, town attorney Frank Scalera, that Land Tech walked off this job and it necessitated a rebid, which I don't have any proof that anything was rebid, but then Laser got the job. Actually, I do have proof. Because what's interesting is, even though Land Tech walked off the job allegedly so Laser could pick it up, you accepted bids from Land Tech for the rest of the job. Now, I'd like to speak about Resolution 289. This is for a hearing for upcoming Jericho Water District. I've been doing some research on water districts, and I started in Massapequa. And there's some interesting things, because I think this has something to do with ethics and probably conflict of interest, because I determined that Mr. Carmen, the deputy town supervisor, his firm, this is the way that it works in the Massapequa Water District, I'm not sure about Jericho yet, but they award contracts every year for consulting agreements, no big contracts, they just give them out year after year. Now, Joe Pinto had the contract for about a decade as the accountant consultant with the Massapequa Water District. Why he wouldn't be working in the comptroller's office now instead of Parks Department is beyond me. But I also noticed, excuse me, sir, I also noticed that...
Mr. Ripp, I'm just going to point out something.
Stop talking.
Wait a second. You're not in charge of the clock. Let's just be clear about that. We have a pattern of you coming to meetings, and if you have testimony for us, fine.
I do, and I'm giving it to you right now.
But, Mr. Ripp, we are not going to entertain more of your attacks.
These are not attacks.
Well, you have in the past.
No, I haven't. And you're burning my time again because you don't want to hear the pertinent issue.
Not that.
The fact is that Mr. Carmen is the legal counsel to the Massapequa Water District.
No, he's not.
Yes, he is. I have his contract. Now, his firm is.
That is wrong.
No, it's not.
Information.
Now, what I would like to ask is, before the Jericho Water District comes up here, I think that we should identify any other town employees that may or may not have consulting contracts with any of the water districts, because there could be a possible conflict of interest.
Our town employees fill out financial disclosure forms that are now more detailed than they have ever been before since we took office.
If we had an issue with the Massapequa Water District, if we had an issue with the Massapequa Water District right now, and they're represented by Mr. Carmen's firm, how could Mr. Carmen be working for the town of Oyster Bay and for the municipality at the same time?
Does not represent the Massapequa Water District.
His firm does represent the Massapequa Water District, and I'll tell you what, tomorrow, if you would ever open up or accept one of my emails, I'll email you his contract, because I have it. I foiled it and I have it, okay? So now,
Suggesting-
Resolution
Mr. Rip,
292,
Mr. Rip.
Resolution 292, I'd like to move on.
Mr. Rip, before you move on, you come to these meetings, you make accusations that are not
I'm not
true.
making any accusations, I'm stating fact. You, sir, say things that are not true. Okay, Resolution 292.
I don't believe that's the case.
I don't know why you're arguing with him. 292.
And there's been
Listen,
a pattern here.
I brought this up at the last meeting. Frank Scalera spoke about 6 months ago about evidently trying to recoup money from Harinder Singh. In Resolution 292, it looks like the town attorney, it's hard to tell because your backup, you have one piece of information. It says, this office is finalizing a summons and complaint relative to certain claims against individuals and entities associated with losses sustained by the town as a result of prior concessionaires operations. So what I'd like to know is, number one, I never thought I would say this, but it appears that the town of Oyster Bay is representing themselves in this action. And I never thought I would say that you need to hire outside counsel, but based on my experience with the Office of the Town Attorney, if we want to get our money back from Mr. Singh, I think we need to hire outside counsel in this. But I also understand, the residents of the town have been waiting for years to find out what's going on with Mr. Singh, the SRP, are we going to get the money back? And now you're starting the procedure, and you're coming out with a resolution that has no backup material with it. It doesn't explain anything. It doesn't tell anybody. It doesn't even say that we're going after Singh or anybody. It just says that we're starting litigation. You're asking for permission for litigation. Resolution 284. Evidently, the New York State Department of Labor Division of Safety and Health Public Employee made assessed a couple of penalties against the town for safety violations. I was wondering if you could explain those
Thank you,
safety
Mr.
violations.
Rip, that's your time, and we
Thank you,
appreciate
Mr.
your
Saladino.
testimony.
We'll see you at public comment, sir.
I'm sure we'll be reading all about it. Our next speaker is